as if we needed more weather, we have another rainy day. So while I'm mostly healed, I'm not quite ready for going out into the saw shop and working on chainsaws. Close, but not quite. So looking for some entertainment, I went down to Leonard's in Cortland, New York. They were originally kitchen supplies, vacuum cleaners and stuff like that, but they moved from Ithaca to Cortland and added hobby type things. And they've got quite a bit of train, both O-gauge, but also modeling type things. And in the trains, they have N, HO, and O. They got it all. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is they've let a couple of people consign there. Now, that they're not going to add to that, but they have a couple of folks that kind of bring their stuff in to sort of expand the inventory, right? And but like I say, they're not doing consignments like a normal consignment store. It's just they've got a few vendors, I guess is the right way of putting it, that add to the flexibility and add to the variety of stuff, right? So, I've got a few projects going here. This guy here, it's a little sporadic. It runs good, but I may just end up wiring it so it just goes forward. The E unit on that thing is pretty sporadic. And of course, I still got to finish off one of my zombies. But so it wasn't like I needed anything. But in this particular hobby, it's never about needing anything, because you don't need any of this stuff, right? You do it for fun. I saw this on the shelf. $50 with a problem. Said it had a hard time reverse or something like that. So, but it's in a box. And I've been rail fanning the CSX line quite a bit up there in the Syracuse area. So I've become interested in the heritage and the history of the whole CSX thing. And it started out down there in Baltimore and Ohio, and then Chesapeake and Ohio, and then that's the Chessie system. And eventually, after Penn Central broke up into Conrail, and the Conrail got broke up, CSX was formed from that mess, just like the rest of Norfolk Southern was. So the two big eastern railroads got the breakdown of Conrail, I guess is the right way of putting it. In my particular area, the New York Central main line that went through central New York, through Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, that's now a CSX line. So that's what I see. So, looking to pick up things in that particular brand, that particular, historical line, I saw this, $50. So my first question was, is this an MPC, which it probably is, or is it pre? And the difference is whether it's got an all die-cast and metal gear pull-more truck assembly, or is it the MPC that has the nylon gears, which I do not like. But they run, right? So the first thing we're going to see is that. So I'm going to put the camera down, pull it out of the box, and let's take a look at what we have. Well, the first thing I figured out is the box doesn't match the locomotive. There's your start, right? So it's not one of those. So I've got a nice box for a Milwaukee Road GP-9 diesel engine if somebody wants one, because it doesn't match what I have. So let's take a look at what this is and take a look what it has for power. Well, it's got brass bushings there. That's nice, right? On the dummy side. But alas, it has the pull-more with the nylon pinion gears. So it's not my favorite. And apparently it has a problem. So we'll see if we can figure this one out. But it's a U.S. built locomotive, so that's a plus, right? So yeah, we'll figure out what year it was, and we'll figure out if there's something we can do to fix this thing. But first, let's see what the problem is. Almost looks like an SD something. I'll figure out what it is in a minute and see if I can post it. So I used eBay as a reference, and this is a GP-20. And it's considered 027. And, you know, they're a low-end offering, 100 to 150 bucks typically. And so let's see what we have in terms of how it runs. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on things first, and then I'll hook it up and see what we got. See if we can figure this thing out. They're usually simple. It's just got one powered, you know, truck, and the other one's sort of a dummy. So it won't pull very hard, is my guess. But it might fill a hole, and since I only have 50 bucks into it, plus whatever time it takes to get it running, I'll just run it until it stops. Maybe make that part of the video is to see how long these nylon gears down there last. Now, when I ran the Alco FAs, the 200 series that had those MPC era, they didn't last that long. And what would happen is the pinion on the small pinions would oval out the inside of them, and they would kind of cock out and create a problem. See, I much prefer the older Pullmores where they have all metal gears. Much prefer them. But this is what we got to play with, and there's an awful lot of these out there, so, you know, I need to get familiar with them, I guess. You know, plus I like that road name, so it kind of fills a gap. I'll run it in the lower part of the track probably. And it's kind of a, you know, 027 size. It's not a full scale Locomotive, so that fits my layout as well. So there's good news and bad news. And it looks nice. So let's get some oil on it and hook it up and see if it runs. All right, all it does is hum, it doesn't run. And oftentimes when I see that, it's like there's one wire off the motor or a bad brush or something along those lines. I mean, it could be jammed up. We'll pull it apart and see, but it'll be today's project. How's that? We got a project here. So what do we got to do to take the body off? Probably just a couple of screws on this one right here. Yep, there's one screw in there. And one screw right there. So let's pull the body off. See what we have underneath. I like a challenge. Now I'm liking this more. One of the little nuances is, since this wire is, the handrail wire is on the frame, you either got to pop that plastic off in order to get the shell off, or you got to pull these out from there. I chose to pull them out. Might create a problem putting them back in, but I chose to pull them out. These things here, I'm not sure how good they are. I may have to glue it all together. So, and you got a light. So we got wires and a light. So let's first see if we can figure out what's going on with the Pullmore. Oh, it just lights out now. Yeah, see, it goes into that plastic. So, all right, let's see what we got. Let's see if that Pullmore turns by hand first. Or is it jammed up? No, it's free. It's not that. How about the other direction? No, it's not that. So the engine's free. So let's take a look at the wiring. See if we can see what's going on there. So check that out. See that wire right there? It goes to the coil. It's actually rubbing on the frame. So I'm going to see if I can bend it away from the frame and see if that makes a difference. But that's the kind of thing I would expect to have as a problem. See it right down there? Let me see if I can get in there and bend it a little bit. Get it off the frame. There. All right, so let's see what we got for wires. This one here comes up from the rollers. ground to light. This is the other end of the coil. Oh, I hope the coil's not busted. All right, let's see if that fixed it, just doing that. All right, let's give it some power. That's it. That's all I needed. So now we have a runner. Yeah, it looks like it's turning in the right direction too, so I think we need to put it on the track. Let me see if I can get it back together again, and then see if we can get it on the track. I honestly don't care if it has a forward and reverse. But that's all it was. Oftentimes it's something that simple. It was just this wire right here had been rubbing on the frame, shorted out to the coil. I don't know if there's a right way or a wrong way, but I started by putting this up in the cab, and then it's like every other, it oscillates back and forth. And then I set it down the back here. So anyway, there it is. I'll probably have to do a little bit of bending at some point to get it right. Get another one of these plastic pieces, I guess, on eBay. Let's go see if it'll pull a car. Well, I got to turn everything on, right? Now, I've been running these. I don't know if I did a video or not, but I've been running these. And this is a pair of powered Lionel 218 Santa Fe Alco FAs, and both of them got the right pull more for me. They've both got that magnet traction. I think they're really, really nice running locomotives for what they are. Now I understand they're not for the collector or the model railroad type. You know, I've made the point before. They were in the, I don't know, low to mid-range in the catalog price-wise. They came in singles, kind of like my 232 New Haven, and that was at the lower end. And then they had a powered and a dummy, and that kind of went into the mid-range price-wise, late 50s, early 60s. And I really like them. I've got more than a few. Now they sell what I consider something comparable, and that's the FT series. And they actually have come in a variety of different configurations and options. Of course, in the 90s, these were the heart of a lot of the starter sets. Those things run good. They've served the community well in getting people started into the model trains or the toy trains. But I happen to think that these are a better place to start because they also come with Lion Chief and a whole bunch of other options. Twin vertical can motors, and they do have bells and whistles. I think that's a very good offering to start with. So let's do a couple of laps with these guys here first, and then we'll try the newly repaired GP-20. And this is what I've been running most of the week. I got a lot of time on those, but I mean, how many times can you go around in circles with a camera? I let them go for a long time. I enjoy them, but for video purposes, you got to change it up from time to time, right? So let me do a few minutes with these, and then we'll try the GP-20. So I just changed up to 60 frames per second, and I'm going to start with this one here. Well, let's see if we've got a locomotive here. And I put 10 cars on it. Let's see if it goes. I'd consider that a success, right? It handled 10 cars with ease. Now I have a couple of the lightweight MPC era cars there towards the back, including that caboose, which needs a light, right? But I have some heavier cars up front, you know, Lionels and a couple others in there. I think I got a K-line in there. And really my only complaint about that Locomotive right there for what it is those nylon gears. Now it's just got one pull more, and part of the reason is there's no room for two. Vertical cans, they could probably fit two in there, but if you remember, they had the offering of like the GP-9s, where they had the horizontal can motors in the trucks, and that's how they fit them in there, because you got that narrow cab section right there, or hood section right there. But it runs. We're just going to run it. That's all. Enjoy it. Have it do what it does and be what it is, and enjoy it for that. You don't no need to hack it up. And the good things about it are it does have die-cast side plates, or side frames, whatever you want to call them. It does have the brass bushings, I believe. I can't see in there. Yeah, it does. I can see them on that side. I can't see them on this side, but on the side right there, it's got brass bushings like it has here. And yeah, just one powered truck versus two. You know, you've got the couplers where you can decouple them with a magnet tracker. It's got traction tires, and from the rollers, it doesn't have a whole lot of wear on it. Runs nice. So what I'll do is I'm going to run it quite a bit, and I'm just going to keep those nylon gears lubricated and see if I get a decent service life out of it. Shell's got decent, you know, detail for me for 027. Remember, it's not scale O. It's not a model. It's a toy. Light works. What else could you possibly want? So I'll leave it at that. I would consider that a success. Let's see if it restarts. Do like I do with my chainsaws. Does just fine. I think the only thing I need to find is one of those plastic pieces right there for the handrail. And that's assuming I consider that important enough to spend money and time on versus just running the darn thing. So anyway, I think that's a video.